Hello everyone. I'd first of all like to apologise for the lack of a video last Sunday. I had another bit of a IBS flare-up and was feeling completely out of it, and just didn't get anything filmed, let alone edited. And it's still a bit of an ongoing struggle. I've been doing some machining and I've got various bits of video footage, but I was having the problem that I could either machine or I could talk about the machining, and I couldn't really do both, so the footage is a bit patchy. I'm not sure how well it's going to edit together, but I do have another set of the parts to make, and now that I kind of know how I want to make them, it'll be a little bit easier to talk about what I'm doing whilst I'm actually doing it. So we'll look at some of the bits that I've machined on the bench, and there's a couple of bits of tooling to talk about too. I visited Kronos on the way to work one morning, and I bought myself some 246 blocks, and these have been removed and unwrapped, and the very smelly Chinese protective oil removed, and these are been given a little bit of a coating of lanolube to protect them, but they look pretty nice. I've got a couple of cylinder head setups that I think these are going to be useful for, so they're a comfortable weight each. The pair of them get to a point where it's quite a lump, and I spotted these on eBay, and it's a Stubbs needle file set, and they've seen very little, if any, use at all, and the person who listed them couldn't spell needle, couldn't spell file, and I can't remember what section they were listed in, but it was completely inappropriate. I'm not even entirely sure how I actually found them, but I paid £1.50 including postage for these, and it used to be better in the days when the eBay search engine actually worked properly and you could wildcard stuff, but they decided to write their own, and you can no longer use wildcards, so you don't find some of the misspelled stuff so easily. So we've got a tapered half round file, rat tail, square, triangular, a warding file, and a parallel file, and the warding files were so called because they were for cutting the wards in locks, the slots, because you can make a slot wider working from the tapered end down towards the thicker bit. So I've been making some of the parts I need for the Marzocchi forks used on the Marinis, the upgrade I've been talking about for a little while now, and I'll try and do a proper video or series of videos on the work I've done on those, but we'll start off, and some of this may be a repeat, I can't remember what I've covered before, but this 3 pieces here is the original rebound check valve, and this washer is meant to seal on there and it's held in by a cage, and the rod comes up the middle, and I don't know if we can see the light coming through at all, but these are a pretty sloppy fit. So I've started again, and whether I'll make a new bottom piece or just invert this, ideally this would be filled in, but I made a top hat to replace this piece, and that top hat is a nice close fit. I think I gave it 0.1mm clearance, so about 1/4 thou, maybe a little bit less. And to replace this cage, but not have to modify the inside of the fork leg or stanchion, this is the new valve top, and it has a step that's the same thickness as the washer. So those three pieces form the assembly and are held in with a circlip. And this is one of the damper rods, a rather corroded example. And there's a later style that uses a single stepped piston ring. So I've made a new damper rod. This hasn't been cut to length. It hasn't got the damping holes in yet, but it takes a single piston ring, and the top is sized to accept the cartridge emulator straight in the top with no separate adapter piece. So I've got to drill a hole, which will be a much smaller hole than this one, and I'm going to have it further up. The idea is that the damping gets greatly increased after you go past this hole as you approach the top out spring. But I can't quite see the point of having both a top out spring and a hydraulic lock, but I'm going to at least move the damper hole up to here. And the bottom hole on these needs to be enlarged, so I'm going to end up with 3 slots. They recommend 4 holes spaced at 90 degrees, but it comes a little bit too far up the rod for my liking. So there'll be 3 holes that will be elongated into slots, and their recommendation is, in any case, a generic recommendation that's not necessarily based on the size of the bore up the damper rod, which is one of the limiting flows, and as long as the holes provide much less restriction than the hole up the middle, then they're big enough. So as I say, hopefully that that sequence will either come together from footage I've already got or reshot work, but I've got to get this this done and back to my friend Martin for July the 4th. Well, before July the 4th, we're meant to be up at Cadwell Park on July the 4th for the club track day. If it all goes disastrously wrong and I don't get things together, I then have to lend Martin a spare set of forks to put in his bike, and I don't really want to do that, but there's not a huge amount of work now to be done, and we should get there. And hopefully we'll get something loaded up this week. So thank you So thank you very much for watching and subscribing and clicking that little like button, and we'll see you again next time.